Hey everybody, I got some things that I really want to talk about today. I'm really kind of upset. Um, my son's mom just earlier today, this morning, went on an interview for a tourist visa to come visit us up here in the U.S. She was denied for the second time, despite meeting all of the qualifications that are necessary and required for just a basic tourist visa. This is one of the things that just really drives me crazy about just the lack of understanding that most people have about our immigration system in the US and how things actually work. And honestly, just some things that are just com- completely untrue, like the propaganda that we're served on a regular basis and the things that people believe because they don't know any better. Um, like, an example being the open borders. I've crossed the border, so many times over the last 13 years that I've been living in Mexico, through from Obama's first administration to his second and Trump's first, all the way through Obama or Biden's, and now into Trump's second term. And I've seen the reality up close. I have video of my son and I crossing when he was 8, 4 years ago, right in the middle of Biden's term, where supposedly the border was wide open and there was just a flood of refugees coming across. I stopped there and I talked to people on both sides. On the Mexico side, we spent days there, and on the U.S. side of the border, talking to people, finding out what's actually happening there and not the stuff that's told to us on TV. Because, even in Mexico, I have access to all the U.S. news and stuff like that. I keep track of all the local news and all the places that I've lived. And, I see what is said on TV and what they're talking about, but absolutely none of it is true. Um, like I said, I've spent a lot of time at the border over the last 13 years, and I've seen a lot of things, but nothing like they say on TV, like on the news and stuff like that. It always cracks me up how they're showing stock footage of stuff from different places and then feeding us this narrative of things. And yeah, most people believe it. In fact, people tell me I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about, even though I've literally done this a lot for years now, and I see what's actually happening. And I've seen a lot throughout the years of our immigration system and Mexico's immigration system. I'm an immigrant in Mexico. I've gone through their system. In fact, I'm still dealing with stuff with them. And I've seen the U.S. side of things like extensively with many different people and many different friends that I've been involved with, and people, they're all their different situations, and I've seen what's actually going on and what's really happening out there, and how flawed our system is and how messed up it's been forever. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, there's a whole lot of racism involved, a whole lot of racism. Our illegal entry law was written by a white supremacist who also tried to criminalize interracial marriages, to tell you his frame of thought. And this is the law that we stand by constantly. Well, if you came in illegally, well, that's where this law came from, was from a white supremacist who was trying to keep Mexicans from coming in outside of the ports of entry, because at the ports of entry, they were forcing them to undergo kerosene baths, the workers that were coming from Mexico up into the United States. This is in the 1920s when this happened. And nobody knows that part of it. There's some videos out there, people talking about it and stuff like that on occasion, and it's factual history. It's undeniable history, but they just want to ignore that, and they're like, well, that's the law. You have to come in through ports of entry. People don't know those ports of entry are blocked. Like for the refugees and stuff over the last several years, they talk about people flooding over, coming across illegally and stuff like that. Well, the ports of entry are blocked. They have been since Trump's first term. It didn't stop under Biden, but it's still the case. I mean, they still got guards on the bridges stopping anybody from coming across, because that's the thing with asylum seekers. The way the law works, you have to physically be on U.S. soil to be able to apply for asylum. And if they stop you halfway across the bridge and don't let you come over and step on U.S. soil, you cannot apply for asylum. So they have to find other ways to cross over, and yeah, that's illegal entry. Again, a law written strictly for racism and for these kind of loopholes to keep people from being able to have their due process. And so now you have these people who are desperate. They're asylum seekers. They're refugees. They're suffering because their countries have been destroyed. Oh yeah, that was us that did that. We destroyed their countries, and they have nowhere else to go. So they come here to try to live. And of course we reject them. Most of them are living down in Mexico, actually. That's the thing people don't realize when they see these caravans on TV and stuff like that. Those caravans are at the Mexico-Guatemala border and stuff like that, coming up. And then they get halfway through Mexico, they start separating and moving on to different places. The vast majority of them are down in Mexico. And then a few that get up to the border that have family in the United States that they're trying to get to, like they have, sisters, brothers, cousins, things like that they can stay with in the United States and live with them till they get on their feet. Those are the ones that get to the border and stuff, and then they're held in detention down there for months at a time. I actually have experience with these refugees and stuff, meeting them on both sides of the border. I haven't met many in the United States because so few actually are allowed through. Not the flood of people that people think, not even remotely. I rode on a bus with someone who is now my friend, who I consider a friend. That we rode on a bus from Houston to Atlanta. She was going on to New York. We talked the entire way. I helped her translate because she was, didn't understand everything in English because she's new here and stuff. And we talked the entire way. She was wearing an ankle monitor on her leg, and we talked the entire way about her whole process, everything that happened on her way up and everything. So I've seen their perspective, what's actually happening. Most people here in the U.S., most people don't speak other languages other than English. They actually refuse to speak other languages other than English, and it drives me crazy because it's like you just don't want to understand what's really happening and you don't want to know anything. But I do. I speak both languages. I can talk to people on both sides, and I understand everything about this from so many different angles. And now, this has been affecting me a long time on a very personal level. I've seen so much sadness throughout all these years of this, all these attempts at this nationalism and cutting people off and not wanting anybody in the country that wasn't born here. And it's terrible. I've had so many wonderful experiences ever since I started, being able to meet people from other cultures and countries and talking to them and learning from them. I started doing that when I first moved to Atlanta. And it was great. I was meeting people from all different places and learning about those places, and that's what eventually led me to moving to Mexico. Was that I needed that. I needed more, and to get to know people from different angles and different places. And I'm just so upset. I mean, this is personally really hard for me and for my son. You know, his mom, she doesn't even want to come here. She's never had any desire to come to the States. It's one of the reasons why our relationship didn't work out, was because I need both. I need to be able to come up here. I have family and friends and everything. Um, you know, all my history is up here. I love Mexico so much. It's such a beautiful country and beautiful people. It's been an amazing experience for me. And my son, my only child, born in Mexico, my heart is there. I love it. But it's hard to live down there. There's not a lot of money, not a lot of money to be made in Mexico. I, teach English down there, but it's not enough to live off of. And so I have to come up here for work. And oftentimes I had to leave my son for long periods of time to be able to come up here and make enough money to live off of. And then I can bring him up here. And when I get to bring him up here, he's so happy, and he gets to meet people, and he goes to school, and he has all these wonderful experiences that are great. But he has to leave his mom behind in Mexico. She can't come up with us because she can't even get a tourist visa. She has no desire to be here. She never has. But, I always felt like things could have been different if I could have brought her up here at some point and her meet my family and friends and people that have known me my whole life. It could have changed everything about our relationship and how things are now with my son being split. And what's the saddest part about all this is that for most of y'all out there, immigrants, they're not causing you any problems. They're not doing anything except for, coming here to work their asses off and to help build our country and trying to make a living for themselves. And none of this really affects y'all in any negative kind of way. It's actually positive. I mean, they pay into our Social Security. They pay our taxes. They're contributing more than most citizens contribute. But y'all don't care about that. It's all about, this tribalism of they don't belong here. I mean, I just hate this. I just want to be able to, work and make a living and take care of my son and give him the best life I possibly can. And for most of y'all, like I said, none of this stuff even affects y'all, but you're still mad about it and rage about it. And I mean, all these people on the right that are just like, this is what I voted for. All this freaking cruelty with ICE and the stuff that they're doing right now, that's the other thing we're having to deal with too. I'm brown. My son's brown. He was born in Mexico. Kids at his school threaten to call ICE on him all the time. I've had people on Facebook threaten to call ICE on me repeatedly. Not that I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't have to worry about it at all, because here I am, like, I was born in this town. here in Tennessee. I was born here in 1973. My dad was born here. Like, I don't. It's just. It's just not right. We're just trying to live here.